If you're serious about jazz and you're serious about learning repertoire, then you need to have one rhythm changes tune in your back pocket that you can absolutely own. And this song is a great place to start. The song is called Steeplechase. It was written by Charlie Parker back in the day, and it's a classic rhythm changes head. It's right up there with other heads like Oleo or Anthropology, another Charlie Parker tune, or Eternal Triangle, which was written by Sonny Stitt, which was famously recorded on the album of the same name, Eternal Triangle. Triangle with Dizzy Gillespie, who used to play with Charlie Parker. So these songs come from just bebop legends.
Bebop legends.
And this one, what makes Steeplechase so powerful is that it's unique, but it's also still easy enough to learn in all 12 keys. Like a lot of these heads are famous for that. Some of them are very difficult. Like Eternal Triangle is not an easy head. The bridge is very difficult. But this one is great. You can learn in all 12 keys pretty easily. And if you call this on the bandstand, like Oleo is the one everybody calls. If you call Steeplechase, you're immediately going to stand out. And if you learn it using my 3-step method, analysis, transposition, and visualization, you're going to know it in all 12 keys. So if you go on a bandstand and you call Steeplechase, and they say, what key do you want to do it in? And you can say, it was originally in B flat, but what key do you want to do it in? You're immediately going to earn the respect of everyone on stage. And you're going to stand out. You're going to show them that you've done your homework and you're prepared to play this song that you're calling. So like I said, Steeplechase is a great place to start. So in this video, I'm going to show you the melody. I'm going to show you how to play it in a couple different keys. I'm going to show you an exercise to work on this melody and rhythm changes in general to help prepare you for the bandstand. So let's dive in. If you're not familiar with Steeplechase, I'm going to play it, but I am referencing a version of the tune by Roy Hargrove off of the album Parker's Mood. Excellent album. It's Roy Hargrove and Christian McBride and the the keyboard player whose name I'm drawing a blank on. I feel terrible about that. But it's just an album of all these famous Charlie Parker tunes, and it's just the three of them playing it, and it's excellent. Excellent album.
Excellent.
But in this one, the very first bar, he changes the head slightly. So if you're familiar with the tune, or if you've listened to older versions, or if you listen to other versions of the song, you'll hear that there's a slight melodic discrepancy, which I don't care. I like his version of it. And if you listen to other artists, you'll hear they'll do the same. Like there's a version by Phil Woods where he changes the end of the A section completely. But it's just his take on the song. I like this version, so I'm going to play it for you. This is by Roy, or this version is from Roy Hargrove. And if you're not familiar with the song, it sounds like this. And that's the whole song, just that A section. You repeat that, and then you play the rhythm changes bridge, which we'll get to, and then you repeat the A section one more time at the end. Pretty simple song. It might sound like there's a lot going on there, but it's actually very simple. So let's break it down. The first bar of the song is just outlining the major triad. It's 1-3-5-3-1. And then the next bar outlines the 2 to the 5. But you'll notice there is a sharp 11 over the 5 chord because there's a raised root. I'm still going to analyze this in relation to the tonal center, but I'm just going to tell you what they're doing. It's outlining the 2 chord. You have FAC, which is 3-5, flat 3-5, flat 7 of the 2 chord of D minor. But that is 4-6-1 in relation to the tonal center. So you have that first bar, and then the second bar outlining the 2 minor 7th chord, and then it resolves to that raised root, the sharp 11 of the 5. And then resolves with the major 7 to the 1. So that first bar and the pickup to the next bar sounds like this. Which is great. Like, I love the way that sounds. It's just a great little melody. And then you have this, the third and fourth bar, you have this great turnaround, which I love the way this turnaround works. And it's doing 2 things. The second part of the line is grammatically walking down the C scale. He's also giving you some alterations you can use while you're soloing over rhythm changes. I'm going to play it for you. I don't know if you've heard of things called bebop scales. Depending on what mode you're in, you can play different bebop scales because there's common chromatic passing tones that are used because of the chord changes. I'm not going to get too much into it. If you want to know about bebop scales, drop me a comment and I'll tell you about them. They're not my favorite thing to talk about because in my opinion they pull you away from the chord changes and they become a crutch in my experience. So that's where this kind of thing comes from. You'll see these chromatic kind of runs all over the place, and people play scales about it. What's happening there? So what's going on there is we have that pickup, the major 7 and the 1. So 7, 1, and then we have 5, and then we have flat 7, and then we have a 6, and then we have the chromatic walk down. Flat 6, 5, flat 5, 4, 3, 1. Excuse me, 3, 2. So that's major 7, 1, 5, flat 5, or flat 6, flat 7, if I could speak today, 6, flat 6, 5, flat 5, 4, 3, 2. And then the melody repeats. And this is where it changes. We have a flat 6 to a 5, 4, 3, 1. So that's a slight variation at the end, just to give you a stronger resolution. Instead of having these chromatic passing tones, you have a very strong 5, 4, 3, 1. You're resolving back to the 1. So the whole melody together is 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, 4, 6, 1, sharp 1 or flat 9, major 7, 1, 5, flat 7, 6, flat 6, 5, flat 5, 4, 3, 2, and then that repeats. 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, 4, 6, 1, sharp 1, 5, major 7, 1, 5, flat 7, 6, flat 6, 5, 4, 3, 1. And that's the whole song. It's great. And then you get to the rhythm changes bridge. And if you're not familiar with the chord changes of rhythm changes, the bridge is always the same. You know, there's a lot of variations you can do with rhythm changes. And I made a video about this, about 3-6-2-5s, and I've gone pretty in-depth on how they work and some alterations you can do. And you'll see that video, I'll link it at the end of this video. So if you're interested in how the 3-6-2-5 functions, because rhythm changes are built entirely on 1-6-2-5s and 3-6-2-5s, if you're interested in how that functions, you can watch that video. But for this, I'm just going to tell you the bridge of every rhythm changes tune. Sometimes there's melodies, and this one is just open. You can solo over the bridge, whatever you want to play. But the bridge of every rhythm changes tunes is a 3-6-2-5, but every chord is dominant. So you have a dominant 3, you see here it's an E7, and then you have a dominant 6, A7, and then you have a dominant 2, D7, and then you have a dominant 5, G7, which brings you back to your A section. And with those dominant chords, you can do a lot of things. Like you can treat those dominant chords like a 2-5, or you can treat them like a 5 and then a tritone substitution, or you can treat them like a 3-6-2-5, every single one. Like there's a ton of options you have that you can do with the bridge. That's wonderful. We're not going to get too much into it in this video. We're mainly talking about the melody. So you have the rhythm changes bridge, and then you play that last A section. So now that we know how the melody works, it's a simple melody, it's very easy to learn, and it sounds great. I love how it sounds. Let's put it in a couple different keys. Let's do it in D. Let's do it in D, G, C, F, and B flat. We'll just do those keys, like kind of the easiest common keys, and then I'll show you a fun exercise. So let's start there. Let's do it in D. Let's just play the melody, just the A section one time through in D. That was easy enough. Now let's do it in G. Easy. All right, let's do it. Well, we already did it in C, but let's play it in C again anyway. All right, now let's do it in F. All right, now let's do it in B flat. Let's do the last one. All right, yeah, so there you go. It's that, the melody is that simple. You can put it in different keys pretty quickly, pretty easily. And if you know it this way in relation to the tonal center, which is how I like to think of these rhythm changes melodies, unless it's a really complicated rhythm changes melody like Anthropology or Eternal Triangle. Even Eternal Triangle I think of in relation to the tonal center. I usually think of these melodies completely in relation to the tonal center because they're all based on 1-6-2-5s and 3-6-2-5s, And with some slight alterations, that is all in the tonal center. Everything that you play over those is in the key, or a slight alteration to push you back to the tonal center. So for the most part, rhythm changes songs can all be thought of in relation to the tonal center. And your improvisation can be thought of in relation to the tonal center at first, just to help you get used to rhythm changes. There's so many alterations you can do with rhythm changes, it can get as complicated as you want to make it as time goes on. So there you have the melody, and there you have it in a couple of different keys. Now, there's a fun exercise. I like to do this with blues tunes and other bebop tunes and rhythm changes tunes. I like to do this. So you get a metronome and you set it at a comfortable tempo, and you play this song in the keys you're comfortable with. Say we do F, say we do the same progression we just did, D, G, C, F, and B flat. And you play it through all those without stopping. So you play it one time through the form, and then you just play the next one without stopping. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up my metronome, and I'm going to play this through those, 5 keys? D, G, C, F, and B. Yeah, I'm going to play through those 5 keys without stopping to show you what this exercise looks like. And if you want to at home, play along with me, get used to these heads, and then jump in. Yeah, and I'll count it off, and we'll get started. All right, you'll notice I look different for 3 reasons. One, I was editing this video and I did not like the way I presented the exercise, so I decided to do it again to show you a better way to play this exercise, first of all. Second of all, to say thank you so much for crushing it. You guys are crushing it with the subscriptions. We're up to, I think, 1,040 at the time this video is posting, which is amazing. We've had more subscribers in the last 2 or 3 days than I usually get in months. So thank you guys so much for becoming a part of the community and helping support the channel. And 3, this has got me so excited, I have an announcement that's coming up, but I'm going to save that for the next video. So keep an eye on the next video. I got a pretty cool announcement coming up. But anyway, let's get to the exercise. So this exercise, I'm going to play through the head in 5 keys, like we said, D, G, C, F, and B flat. We're going to go through all those keys. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to play, since the A section is the same every time, I'm going to play one A section, and then I'm going to play over the bridge, and then I'm going to play the last A section out, and then we'll go to the next key. I'm going to set my metronome to about 100, which should be a pretty comfortable tempo for this song. And over the bridge, I'm going to do something very specific. This is how I learned to navigate these chord changes when I was really first starting. I'm going to play a very simple lick, and you may have heard it. It's called the Now I'm Playing Bebop lick. I don't know if you're or familiar with this lick, but it starts on the root of whatever dominant chord you're playing. And it sounds like this. And it's just a very simple, very common bebop lick you'll encounter. And it's called the Now I'm Playing Bebop lick because of the way, now I'm playing bebop. That's like, everybody sings it like that. So that's the lick. If you, that's like the most common, most simplest bebop lick. And it's a good one to know. It's very applicable in a lot of situations. But it's a great lick for these rhythm changes bridges, because they're all dominant chords. So you can play this on the root of each dominant chord, the 3, the 6, the 2, and the 5, and it helps you, when you're just learning these songs, it helps you know what the chord changes are. Because you're like, oh, the 3, I can play something based on the root of the 3. So you are grounded in each chord as you're playing through all 12 keys. It's not a ton to take in, you're not trying to improvise right off the bat. And then, as you get better at the exercise, once you get very comfortable, you can then pick a more complicated lick and play that over each key of the bridge. But we're going to start here with the Now I'm Playing Bebop lick. And I'm just going to start in D, and then I'm going to play G, and then C, and then F, and then B flat. And let me turn my metronome on, which hopefully you can hear. That should be a pretty comfortable tempo for these. And for these, why don't you get your horn out and you can play along. That's it's a really great way to get comfortable with these. You have somebody else there to guide you, me, to guide you through the exercise. So get your horn out if you don't have it already. Play along, and let's play this. We're going to start in D, and we're just going to go around, and I'm going to play through them all and not stop. And if you have to rewind to play along again, or if you got to work on keys, feel free to work on keys. So we're going to start in D. We're going to start at about 100 BPM, exactly 100 BPM. And I'm going to play just one A, and then the Now I'm Playing Bebop lick over every chord of the bridge, and then the last A, and then I'm going to modulate. So here we go. In D, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So you can see it's a really fun exercise. It can be a little tricky. I had to do a couple of different takes here, a little behind the scenes, because it's easy to lose concentration. You really have to focus when you're doing this kind of an exercise, even though it's relatively simple, especially once you have the melody down in all 12 keys. But just thinking ahead and like when you're playing the melody and then thinking, oh, what is the 3, 6, 2, like what is the 3 and 6, 2, 5 of this song while you're playing the melody, thinking that far ahead. If you're not really focused, can throw you off. And then when you're finishing the melody, thinking, okay, I'm in C, what key is next? F, okay, I gotta get ready to play F when that comes up. But it's great to have this duality of thought. Like you have to be able to juggle multiple things like this, like melodies and chord changes, and then what is approaching in order to hang on the bandstand. So that's a really fun exercise. I learned that exercise from Dick Oates. I don't know if you know who that is, but he is or was at the time. I don't know if he is anymore. He was a lead alto for the Village Vanguard Big Band, which is kind of a big deal. Incredible player, has put out some great albums, modern jazz, just great player. And I went to a master class with him one time, and he was talking about, knowing chord changes and etc. And he got Blues for Alice. He pulled it out of his brain, I should say. He didn't have a chart. And he was talking about being versatile and having being fluid with being able to modulate in chord changes. And he's like, you should be able to take a song like Blues for Alice, which is a heavily modified bebop blues song, and he's like, and play it in all 12 keys. And he did this blazing fast. It was like 300 BPM. It was ridiculous. And he played it in the original key, the head, and then soloed over it, and just soloed through all 12 keys without stopping, without making a mistake. It was amazing to watch. He's an incredible player. But yeah, so there you have it. Steeplechase, great place to start. Oleo is another one you should definitely learn, and I'll make a video about that if you guys want me to. You can leave a message in the comments if you want me to go over that one, or any other rhythm changes head or jazz head you want to learn. I love going over these songs. So you have Steeplechase in about 5 different keys. I analyzed it for you, we transposed it, and then the visualization process you should be pretty familiar with at this point. When you start playing it in different keys, you'll start noticing different patterns on your instrument, and you'll start building automatically a visual framework for it, for how it works and how it resolves and how it feels over different sets of chord changes. So thanks for joining me. That was Steeplechase. Learn this in all 12 keys. It's a great head. It's a unique head, and it will be a very powerful tool in your repertoire arsenal to bust out on a gig or a jam session. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.